Sales professionals and entrepreneurs are natural allies to libertarians, or at least they should be. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show.
Well, happy Wednesday there, folks. Brian Nichols here on the Brian Nichols Show, and thank you for listening. Of course, another fun-filled episode. I am, as always, your humble host, joining you live from our Stratus IP studio here in lovely Eastern Indiana. Don't let cyber attacks or outdated business technology put your company at risk. Learn more at briannicholsshow.com/Stratus IP. All right, entrepreneurs and sales professionals, this conversation is for you. And if anything, it's a natural plea from me. It's a sales pitch to you to say, why have you not yet considered libertarianism as a real means to enact not just your political ideas, but also the ideas and the values you likely embrace and you act upon on a daily basis in your world of trying to grow your business, or if you're a sales professional trying to make more sales. And I'm going to quickly outline how that looks. And this idea was sparked in my mind back a while ago, actually. Was having conversations, and we've had this guest on the show with Victor Antonio. Now, Victor Antonio is a very noted business sales consultant, and he goes around helping businesses of all shapes and sizes help reframe and restructure their sales teams. And I've been a big fan of Victor's for a number of years, listened to all of his podcasts, read his books, and had the chance to also have a couple of conversations here on the program with Victor. But one thing that Victor talked about on an episode, actually it was a podcast he was on, and he was talking about politics, and the ideas of libertarianism came up, and I was just blown away because all of a sudden I hear this sales guy that I had really enjoyed listening to and learned a lot from, all of a sudden being a raving fan of Ayn Rand and Milton Friedman and Ludwig von Mises, and all of a sudden I saw the worlds clash together because it hit me. Entrepreneurs and salespeople have a lot in common with libertarians, especially when you consider libertarians are sometimes, I won't say autistic, but are sometimes incessant fixation on economics and the way that incentive structures work. I know my old sales team is just nodding their head in agreement. Yep, Brian talks about incentive structures all the time as a sales manager. Sure do, because they matter, right? So quickly outlining to you sales professionals and entrepreneurs out there why you should be libertarians, why you should at least consider us as an option. Well, to start things off, inherently, you understand that what we're talking about, its fundamental basis is correct. And I know that because you all, in order to grow your companies efficiently and effectively, have to enact these type of principles into your businesses for them to succeed. That's talking about not spending more than you make, trying to avoid debt, for example, making smart investments into your company, but also taking into real factors that incentive structures matter, the way you pay your employees versus the value that they're going to bring to the table, but also how hard they'll work for you. There's all these different factors that we take into consideration when you're in the world of being an entrepreneur. But as you're a sales professional, the same thing is true. We all know that incentive structures matter, especially when trying to get somebody over the finish line. Now, it's not just true for your champion, but also true for the company as well. So when we talk about incentive structures, you look at the correlation to libertarian politics. We talk about this all the time. We talk about the importance of acknowledging incentive structures in the way that public policy impacts human behavior, but also how, in many cases, human behavior is impacted and is forming by the public policy. So when we're talking to our friends out there, and I'm saying this now to libertarians who are in the sales and in entrepreneurial space, let's start off by acknowledging the basics that, yeah, listen, we speak your language. We understand that, yeah, this stuff right here, it all is common sense. It's the microeconomics, if you will, of business and incentives. It all just makes sense. But then let's take it a step further. Going into the actual goals of these companies, and I say this again with the understanding that there are nefarious actors out there. There are, in fact, companies who are antithetical to libertarian ideas. I'm going to talk about them in a second. But when we're talking about your average company, your average mom and pop shop, right? Your small business owner, the person who's working, at the Starbucks or at the coffee shop trying to build that small business, they understand the challenges that they have to face in order to grow their business, the red tape, the regulation, the bureaucracy. It sucks. So they understand that from a policy perspective, they want to get as much of that out of their way as possible. And in turn, they should want to hold that value true for their competitors as well. Now, when you look at salespeople, we also see the impact of the government red tape, namely in the way that it impacts how we are compensated. All the sales professional out there just all collectively groaned because they all feel it and know it's true. When you get your paycheck every single month and you look at how much was taken from theft, I mean taxes, it really hurts. It stings. And when you realize how much more you could have done with your hard-earned labor, in this case, the dollars you earned from what you did, what value you brought to the table, you could have done a lot more with that and invested it in probably a lot more effective means than the government did. But what about all those welfare services, Brian, that we get from government? Oh yeah, I was in Philadelphia and I really saw all those great welfare and public goods services. Oh yeah, lots of that good stuff. The holes in the ground, with the potholes and the shootings that were happening around the corner. Oh, it's great stuff, great stuff. Schools that were crumbling and the education standards in the toilet, just fantastic. Great to see my tax dollars hard at work. But don't worry, if you buy your car over in a state next door to Philadelphia, they still found a way to get their Philadelphia tax because they had to get their nut. Sorry, end rant there. But as a sales guy, and I'm sure to the other sales professionals, you also see it. So there is an incentive as well to get more libertarian policy into action in order for us to have the most success, to be the real value makers in society that we are. But there is the counter side of this as we wrap things up here. It is a rather short episode as we're going things forward towards the holidays. And also for next week, it's going to be a short week as well. Just to give you a heads up. But let's look at the other side of the coin here, right? There are nefarious actors out there. I think it's important to acknowledge that because there are those who will say we are free market capitalists. And then they will go ahead and take as much money as they can from government and then use government to enforce regulations and bureaucracy on their competition after they didn't have to deal with it. But now that there's market capture under their belt, they're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and shut down our competition. Not even give them a chance. Let's put this government bureaucracy. Oh, we need regulation. Yes, we do, government. We'll help you write the regulation as well. So we have to keep that in mind. There are, in fact, those who will go out of their way to pretend to be those folks that are on our side. They're not. Call them out when they raise up their non-libertarian, non-free market ideas and call it out for the hypocrisy that it is. And it's on us, actually, to go out and lead right now by fighting for different ideas, to put these ideas into public policy if they're not public policy where you live. So go out, my libertarian friends, if you are joining us today on the libertarian side, and talk to sales professionals, talk to entrepreneurs, and start leading in with this as the common ground. Meet them where they're at on the issues they care about. And if you are an entrepreneur or you're a sales professional and you're on the fence, you're like, you know what? I'm politically homeless. And I saw this as I was scrolling through YouTube and I was like, okay, I'll give it a listen. Please give us a shot. Give libertarians a shot. You might not be on board with the principles, right? You might not be all into the philosophy. It's okay. We don't need you there yet. Heck, we don't necessarily need you to even get there. We just need you to understand where we're coming from and to help us get this big bad thing that we call government out of the way so we can live our lives and do the most good. So if you are on board with this message and you think you can make some difference, go ahead and please do me a favor. Share today's episode. And when you do, go ahead, tag yours truly at B Nichols Liberty. That's number one. Number two, give today's episode a 5-star rating and review either at briannicholsshow.com or on your favorite podcast catcher. Apple Podcasts is always the go-to. Number three, support the show. You can become an audience insider, $1.99 a month, or you can become an audience superfan. That's right, $5 a month. Or if you are a candidate running for office, local office particularly, and you're brand new into this world, you're trying to figure out what the heck to do, messaging, fundraising, all that crazy stuff, candidate school over on our Patreon, $9.95 a month. All three of those you can find at briannicholsshow.com/support. Actually, that's not true. You can find the $1.99 and the $5 one as well over at as a one-time PayPal donation. There we go, at briannicholsshow.com/support. You can find the candidate school over at briannicholsshow.com/candidate school. And by the way, classes start in January. Otherwise, guys, like I said, it's going to be a little bit different of a week here. We're wrapping things up here. I'm actually going to re-air an episode tomorrow. I was on an awesome podcast in Liberty and Health where I would return to the program and we talked all things sales and also some other fun stuff. So don't worry, I'll go ahead and share that episode. And also on Friday, it's going to be another one-on-one. And then next week, it's going to be a mishmash of some re-airs likely, and then a couple of these shorter episodes as well. So stay tuned. Yes, we will have some episodes. And by the way, I will also next week be teasing 2023. Things are going to change a little bit here in the program. So you want to make sure you are not missing what's going to be taking place as we hit January. You'll make sure you've hit subscribe, not missing a single one of our episodes. Yes, here the week after Christmas, other podcasts are taking breaks, not us at the Brian Nichols Show. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be out of town. And these are all going to be pre-recorded, but hey, they are still going to be airing. I'm giving you content. Oh, Daddy's giving you content. Cut that. There you go. Have fun with that one. All right, folks. Brian Nichols signing off here on The Brian Nichols Show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.